Left to play. We're back. It's Toffee's, Godspeed, Hypoc, and Hwin here after a big win for you guys. Congratulations on the victory. It's got to feel good to get back up there on the top with some chicken.
Yeah, feels good. I think we were due for a big game.
You were due for a big game. We've got some hard-hitting questions for you. I'm going to start with those two and see where they go with it. And if they don't ask the tough ones, I'll come back and ask it later. Godspeed, let's start us off.
So my good friend Hwin, obviously you guys coming off of PGIS, that was a massive win. Super happy for you, but it's been a little bit of a struggle. Obviously you guys are not where you want to be. Having a sub, Zampa's an amazing player, but talk to me a little bit about what it's been like actually to play with Zampa again, since mine is kind of out right now.
Yeah, we were only given 2 days notice, so I'm glad we found a player as good as Zampa to sub in for us, first of all, but it's just been kind of like a learning process. It doesn't feel like we're advancing with what we took out of PGI. It feels like we're just trying to stay on par. So with mine, we obviously have a lot of chemistry, and I think his role is very unique to our team. So losing him is obviously going to hurt us.
I guess for me, looking a little longer term, having kind of carried across the success from last year throughout North America, domination actually throughout last year in NA, and now kind of getting that validation, not just for yourselves, but the region as a whole. What do you feel is your biggest opportunity now with the Americas region combining? Have you made any real adjustments to the way you guys want to approach your strategy overall?
Not really. I just think we're looking forward to playing with our full roster and just trying to improve every day. It's exciting to play against new competition. The SA teams are unpredictable, to say the least.
Nice.
But yeah, there's also some new rosters like Spicy Fish and whatnot that are also proven to be very good.
I mean, that's it. How much as an IGL do you read into the kind of those comfort factors, right? You talk about unpredictability and, a whole year of learning team tendencies and stuff. Do you think that potentially is going to cause you any problems? Is there any overlaps or anything that concern you?
It's a little hard to judge. I guess we're really good at being greedy with NA, and we can take control of the whole server if teams let us. But yesterday on the Millie game, for example, we got crashed by 2 SA teams that were literally back-to-back. So it was an 8-man team crashing us. And, if that didn't happen, we would have probably had a really good game, like a top 3, a lot of kills. So we just have to learn kind of our limits, I'd say.
Yeah. You can count on people taking shots at you. You can't really count on them hurling bodies at you one after another. Let's talk real talk, and I want to see maybe we'll put a little mud on the floor for the rest of the year here. You are using a sub. STK is dominating the lobby right now. Would you guys be dominating STK if you had the full roster?
I think it'd be a lot closer. I think there's a couple games where we just win one fight and it's a completely different game. So, they'll see come the next event. But it will be a different format, so I guess we'll all see.
I think there's a lot of learning for all of us coming very, very soon. Yep. A very good political answer. I respect it. Do you have anything else you want to say to the people watching? Messages you want to send? Maybe some trash talk if you're vibing it before we let you go?
Just thanks for watching, supporting us. My family back at home, all of our viewers and amazing supporters. Thanks.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, and good luck in the next match.
Thank you. Nice shirt, by the way, Puck.
Hey, thank you.
Damn, just
always Hypoc. It's always Puck.
Unreal.
That's it, my brother right there.
Shirt.
Oh my gosh. He did smile for you earlier.
I'm going to be glowing all night now.
You're already glowing. Look at that. You can't stop. The smile won't go. Look at him. You can't stop smiling. Oh, it's adorable. All right, let's talk about it. So, yes, I think there is relevance to sort of this idea. He was very political about it, but the reality, I think, with their roster domination. That said, though, I was very impressed, Hypoc. Zampa got 2 days of notice, right? They got 2 days of notice as a team, and they're in second, basically, and Zampa's been doing pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to address the elephant in the room at some point, right? I mean, that's their first top 3 placement since Game 10 at this stage. So there's always going to be things, and touching on the kind of those tiny aspects like the synergies of just, anticipating when a teammate's going to peak, all those things. And it's absolutely no shame to Zampa at all. He's a very talented individual. We already know that. I said it earlier tonight. He needs no introduction, but just that one change, I don't think Sonics is a roster where you can just kind of put anybody in and it'll work, right? Acewin relies a lot on, being the kind of chess master for that team, and synergy is a big factor for that.
It's true. When you're a hyper aggro team, Godspeed, you have to know each other very, very well, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's a lot of, as Pac was saying, there's a lot of tendencies. And if you are just slotting someone random, as it may be, Zampa, who's obviously, again, an established player, as Pac was also saying, you're still going to have issues, especially with peak timings like that, when to push, the tendency of if a player likes to play more passive in certain situations. So all that stuff is absolutely going to come into a factor, especially with, as Swin was saying, the team coming off some amazing chemistry after their win at PGIS and their domination last year. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. Regardless of if the same core three are still there, you are going to run into those issues. And obviously, we're kind of seeing that right now. I mean, Sonics is still playing well, don't get me wrong, but they should be playing better.
I do want to give a shout out.
I'm sorry, just to build on that as well, and that's the same thing for Zampa, right? It's opposite. He's coming into this unit and he has to learn all of those things, right? Sure. It's a completely different team dynamic to, previously with Tempo Storm when he retired ultimately, almost 18 months ago now. It's a crazy amount of time to just come in with this amount of notice and just be like expected to get it, right?
It speaks volumes to how good Zampa is and was, particularly, to be able to make that transition, because metas change. That's it. Let's pivot just a little bit, because you heard Hwin mention specifically Spicy Fish in terms of teams in the region who are kind of popping, coming out of nowhere. But it's basically Spicy Fish Sonics kind of fighting for second right now, Godspeed. We heard a lot of honeymoon talk at the start of this thing. They don't seem to be slowing down. Do you think this whole honeymoon idea is garbage?
No, because ultimately they are having an incredible event, but I want to see how they do at the next event. I'm not counting them out. Clearly, they've shown that after a rough start, they can bring it back together, and they have that really good synergy and momentum, and they can carry that through. But again, this is just one event. This is the team's first event, and ultimately, I want to see at least 1 to 2. Actually, ultimately, I want to see 3 more events before I really judge like if this team is a honeymoon, if they're actually here to play or not. But so far, so good. I am impressed. Obviously, I think everyone is. They're playing very well.
Hi, Pac, what's your experience? My honeymoon phase, I would say, lasted probably about a year and a half. What does your honeymoon, like in your experience, how long does that honeymoon sort of, everyone's happy to be together on this team last?
I mean, it all comes back to performance, right? And really willingness to kind of ride that wave. I mean, the more confident a team gets within that honeymoon period, they might find their comfort in a play style that, is unorthodox, or maybe not something they were feeling that they'd even try and experiment with. Obviously, there are several other variables, being in an event where you're down so bad, you got to chase on the leaderboard, you take less risk, but actually an event where, much like SDK, they're in coast mode now, that ultimately is their comfort zone, right? Yeah. So you got to take it with a pinch of salt, but I mean, if you can ride that for as long as possible, potentially you're going to learn things about your team you wouldn't necessarily have done.
Quick shout out, Godspeed. Akreche, they got 4th in that one. Sparking had a hell of a game, at least a chance to show some love to him, I guess.
Akreche has been really disappointing just because of, again, that hype and Sparking. I mean, I think Poro said it best, or Matt, one of them said, where has this Sparking been the entire time? And I tend to agree. Those were really insane shots, what we've come to expect from Sparking and the team he's with, but could also be the same issues, except on a grander scale, because Sparking came into a new roster. It wasn't his original team, so.
We keep seeing these little sparks. We need to see him flare up and turn into the fire that we expect him to be. And I think that'll happen over time. That said, it is time for the penultimate match of the day. We're moving to Miramar. It is time for game number 3 with the prolific pairing of Matrim and Porosaurus.
Thank you, Toffees and crew. And with this, yes, we're done with Erangel, guys. That means no islands. Maybe. Poro, you ready to go? 2 more games left.
2 more games left on the dusty plains of Miramar, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think these players are probably excited about it. We've had way kinder circles on Miramar this tournament than we have on Erangel. This is a nice way to kind of slow things down a little bit, so where these guys can try to fight for these last 2 games, fight for every little bit of position that they can get.
And I mean, this is the opportunity, right? Unless you really look at some of the more rugged areas of the map, there are opportunities where you can kind of like creep in especially with solos, because we've seen a lot of people playing salvage for their team, finding the opportunities, and let's be honest, given the fact that we are seeing a point system switch, this is kind of one of those last opportunities to do that as well. So it's good to see these teams still realizing their win conditions and trying to play around them.
Absolutely, and I'm excited to see where everything ends up. We are still extremely close, as we said, and Spicy Fish, even despite having 2 really good performances, still only 8 points above the Sonics here. And I know they touched on Sonics a lot, and Sonics had every excuse to have a rougher outing than usual coming into this one, what with the layover from PGIS and playing with Zampa. But you know what? They're doing very, very well, and I gotta say I'm very impressed with the performance they've been able to pull out. And by the way, did you know that Zampa has better numbers, damage kills statistically, than Honey Badger does this tournament?
I missed Zampa. Let's be real. I'm glad to see him back. He was such a cornerstone of so much of what was going on in North America. I mean, he won enough money on Tempo Storm. He can take some time, but it's good to see him coming back in. You know, he bought himself a house. I guess now maybe it's time to get a pool or a new car.
House.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Why not?
Maybe a new dairy cow. You know. Farmer Zampa. I'm pretty sure that's the life right now. I mean, that's all. That's what I assume that people do in Wisconsin. It's
all about the cheese there,
really
right?
Know. Yeah, exactly. You know, Texas, we got beef cows.
Yeah. Circle's gonna pop, and it is not gonna have an island in sight, so everybody should breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief, unless you're in Czech and you're making your way over towards Campo Militar, in which case it's gonna be a long rotation, but it's still not too bad.
Yeah, still one of those southwestern circles, and to be fair, it's a southwestern circle that doesn't have a big chunk of unplayable cliffside in it this time, which is not something that we always see. So probably 98% playable, really, outside of the little bit of river that we might have down there near Old Times. We check in on Spicy Fish, leading up around that Monte Nuevo area. Roth already has the high ground hills above La Ladreria, which might end up being the spot. I mean, when you look at quote unquote the spot for circles like this, that little area around La Ladreria gets a lot of love.
That is true. I just want to remind everybody, 2 games left. Sure, shoot to kill, great position. We can see Spicy Fish does have Sonics that are tailing back behind them, but then Durrani, 300, Oath. 1 point separates all 3 teams. And by God, that means that this is going to get real interesting. Sure, it's always great to see who's going to win at the end of this, but sometimes it's also about the middle of the pack situation because you don't know. These games right now could actually decide who's going to be going to PGC and who doesn't. And it is so close already.
And, oh man, hold on to that.
Poonage, yes, do it.
The whole game, please God. I need it in my life. Need more DBS, not less DBS. Like he's got the scope on there and everything. All right, that's what we like to see. All right, Roth, after holding down that Ladreria spot, now on the move, but this might be dangerous. You can see on that mini map, Poonage already out here. Ooh, okay.
Iron sights too, man. Just Poonage. Why are you so mean?
Oh, push him, Roth. Push him.
Do it.
You don't want this DBS.
Versus a Car 98. What's happening? The gun meta has gone sideways, Boro. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Roth playing with bolties. This is the 2021 narrative I was never expecting, but God, I was hoping for. As he's peeking up over the top.
I don't even know. Like, okay, well, at least we know with what Roth is carrying, he has no desire to push what's happening going on.
He really doesn't.
He's going to be chilling right in the spot for a while now. See, not a lot really going on with this, so that's why it's kind of fun to watch peekaboo going on with Roth right now in Poonage, but that's going to be the end of that. And really, it's just everybody trying to get a little bit of loot. Sonics are also rotating, but this is just what Sonics do. They're going to move a little bit west. It's just going to happen. The other teams are all going to kind of condense down just to the west of their position. Nothing too crazy is happening just quite yet, but teams are starting to get a little bit of vision, so they're at least going to start shooting at each other.
Sonics go to their favorite spot, but Akreshe already home, and that's going to be Tickleton going down immediately to Sparking. Doesn't get flushed out just yet, so the res is still viable. The rest of Sonic's not anywhere near this still. They're still rotating.
And I feel like Sparking's going to go for reposition. Yeah, he's already pushing through. Shrimzy, no! Oh, that is a bad time for that to happen, but this is big for Aggression.
no.
They're going to pick up 2 early kills on 2 very pivotal members of the Sonics.
Oh my good, that is not a mistake that you see Shrimsy make very often. He was not knocked with that grenade either. That grenade just did not bounce the way he thought it was going to. Oh, he's going to be kicking himself over that one. Well, we'll see what H-Win and Zampa do for the rest of this one. By the way, can we go back and let's talk a little bit about this H-Win name thing? All right, I got to give a little bit of history about this one. Back when he first started playing, we all went and asked him. All the casters did. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Win or is it H-Win? And I swear to you, no matter whoever asked, he would tell them something opposite. Like to me, he said Win. To Matrim, he said H-Win. So he is a troll, chat. This is what you got to understand about Hunter. Win. H-Win. He is a troll, and he like no matter what we say, he's going to say it should be the opposite.
But that's kind of the fun of him. Let's be real. We love him.
That's why we love him.
Yeah, no, that's what makes him kind of fun. A lot of teams condensing down around position. Other than what we saw a little bit earlier, I'm kind of curious if we're still going to see a little bit of peekaboo going on, but I think that Roth finally got tired of it. Shoot to kill repositioning right now as well. They're going to start making their way from Hacienda down to the south. Do note that what we were looking through, just got to remind you guys that area that's kind of north of where we saw Sonics, Aggression, all that other stuff. It's kind of flat, so people aren't going to commit into playing that position. There are a couple little dips in places you can play, but not with so much high ground still in play. So that's why you're seeing a lot of the teams lean more Chumacera sided, just because the hills are going to provide them that cover.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting if this decides to cut hard to the west and do that Lajeria circle. I think a lot of teams thinking it's going to go around that Chuma area, and I would be surprised at all to see it end around where Enrage is right now as well. As we've seen plenty of circles kind of finish up around there, or even just the church to the east of Chuma is
And one really wanted Vox, but he got him. So
he got him.
Goal, mission accomplished, right? I think that he knew he was screwed, so he just committed into getting what he could out of that one. So 300 losing a member early.
That's again though, 300 just early game. Just cannot seem to avoid people. At least this time they only lose one, and they get to kind of I mean, at least this time they only lose one, and they can kind of continue to play this one out from the south side. There's nobody really over there in that direction off to the southeast, although gas cans might be coming up late. 300 for a team that's in the chase, in the hunt. The early game has not been their friend.
And you can see it's getting to that pivotal position. They're now tied with Durney, so they have to be very, very careful off of it. I mean, Durney, they're still going on their own adventure right now. They're kind of to the north. They don't have a whole bunch that they need to be too afraid of. They do have Shoot to Kill that's going to be in a southern position from them. Old Time's getting very high ground, making sure that they can get some vision on what's going on. Going to be looking down into Chumacera, and you can see tracers going all through the horizon as people are getting a little bit more vision on teams kind of encroaching in a little bit, but it's still just the Chumacera crunch going on.
Well, a lot of real estate. I mean, this is kind of what we were talking about when we were talking about the fact that it's 100% playable, and that Miramar in general has just been kinder to all these teams with all this playable area, and you can kind of come in late. You can still have a lot of places to play. You have a lot of time to really play it slow if that's what you want to do, and scout out where your next move is going to be. And teams taking advantage of that right now, as we see STK doing just that, coming into slow from that northern part of Monty.
Yeah, and they pretty much have it to themselves. They do have 22 that's going to be to the southeast of their position, but it's not going to be too scary. They are going to have Durney that is going to be coming back behind them to the north, but really nobody is trying to push into that position. Keenan has spotted something, and let's be real, if he got a knock on it, I would be really damn impressed. But if he's just taking shots at it, who cares? He has to be careful. He's sitting at 64 extra ammo after this.
Yeah, this is classic Keenan, though. This is classic ADR farming Keenan that's going to shoot at everything from 300 miles away. Usually it's windows. He really hates windows. He despises windows to the tune of, like, I think he destroyed almost 100 or 200 more throughout the course of PCS in 2020 than the next runner-up. But this time warmed up, ooh, Halo. Does SDK actually want this?
I don't think they do, because two members are still back in Monty, just chilling back over there. And well, there is an opportunity. Do remember that in PGIS, there was a little bit of a situation that happened around this point, so I don't know how brave they're going to want to push back down into that right now. But if anything, they might be able to come back in and show the fact that they can learn from the mistakes that they had in that round that they were trying to win. So, Chumacera due up in center, so everybody that was playing around that, the benefit being rewarded right now. Teams to the north, such as Shoot to Kill, 22 that we're looking at right now, and Durrani, all going to have to move.
Yeah, some casual shots from Alo. I think this might be STK realizing that 22 was in that 2-2 split, but they do manage to regroup, fortunately enough for them. Circle does center over that southern part of Chumacera, so as we were saying, Enrage in a fantastic position. And Gas Can's actually making the rotation down on the south side where they have nothing but space, man. They have a lot of room to work with. And Young Kings, time to hold the door.
2 already down and still committing to it. Kaishin, you got some trouble coming up after you right now. Just trying to juke through everything that's being brought his direction. Already down to half life. Make it no life. He's down onto his knees. Flux is rolling into this going, okay, I was coming to help, but never mind. We're going to leave you. Try to roll out of this one. The problem with it, wide open terrain. Any shots can do a ton of damage to him. He's trying to juke through, trying to use the trees. Should be able to get away from it. And luckily, there's not too many things along this direction, so no other teams that should really be taking shots at him. So should survive for now. As we look through, we can see the fact that repositioning is kind of the name of the game for a couple of these teams. 22 do find themselves in a commitment to Chumacera. Going to get away with that, and they're going to be playing the low ground of it. It's kind of a awkward position to be at this stage. If the circle does pop to the south, that means that they're going to have to try to contest against very vertical hillsides that Chumacera provides. Shoot to Kill, though, Foot running it in, very aware of where Durrani should be making their play at, but not going to be too caught up in what's going on. It's going to be in check, rolling in back behind that, and one member for Durrani, Capitan, going to be pretty far back behind it.
Oh, and here we go. Another push going on with 300. Leda going to come right on to the tail end of the Gas Cans push. They're going to find Adam all by himself. Can Adam hold him off? As you see in the kill feed, that kill will come down onto Zenith. STK also in the move here because Gas Cans are actually coming back for this.
I mean, Gas Cans want points right now. They were not pleased with the positioning that they were at. Let's be honest, we were giving them a little bit of, I guess, idle banter about their positioning being at the bottom of the leaderboard, and they're wanting to prove that they are much better than that and have managed to climb quite a bit. But a couple of teams, 300 also wanting a lot of points right now, double stacked on a motorcycle at this stage. That could sometimes be quite problematic. So 300 looking like they don't want too much to do. Instead, going to make their way to the south and try to regroup a little bit more. Meanwhile, you see Shoot to Kill still on the hunt, trying to figure out exactly where Durrani is positioned at. Incheck did roll back behind them along the road, but didn't seem like they really had too big of an eye for that. Purdy, though, really trying to get at least some information on what's going to be going on with this Durrani reposition.
Yeah, and Durrani doing a good job of getting on out of there. Maybe not, I don't know if they realize that it was STK, but they do realize the situation that they're in, where they are in the hunt. They're trying to get as many points as they can. They've lost one. No need to lose any more if they can manage to get out of that situation, get a little bit closer towards the center, not have to play on that edge. Here goes Shinboy, going to spot out Dodge. Oh, hello, Senpai. That is not the vehicle you want to be in if you're getting shot from above. He still managed to get out somehow.
I was going to say, he was trying to retreat down that hillside. Lampalot trying to provide a little bit of cover on both angles to protect. You can see Lampalot's got a lot of targets around him. Zenith has just made a full wall, and the circle's going to pop, and Dodge is not going to be in it, and they're going to have to contest against the Zenith positioning. Really, Zenith has the opportunity to pick up a lot of kills with it. So the question comes into play. If you're Dodge, what do you do other than bounce into just a really broken down car there? Those things are just scattered everywhere. Like, I mean, if you went through there and you just really wanted to recycle Miramar, you could make so much money.
Oh, hit that.
Do it. Please. Go again. We want it. We want it.
Please hit it.
Oh, damn it. Fourth time's a charm. Fourth time's a charm, Chimpo.
Come on. We got this one.
Fifth time's a charm.
Oh, well. It's a target-rich environment right now. First time's a charm. I'm still wanting to see the drive-by bolt. That's what I really want. Guess we're gonna switch over to the M4 for now. But Ella Senpai says, "Nah, we're tired of you just getting to take free shots at us. We're gonna force you back a little bit here." Is Oath now making the move onto the top of Chuma. They're gonna run into a hot 22. Oh no, Balefrost, the last one up, is 22 holds the line beautifully.
So now what do you do? It looks like it's going to be just try to juke around this. Already down to half life. He's got himself a wall. Can he defend up with this? He knows the fact that somebody might try to be a little bit more aggressive. Peek around it, lined up into it, gets vision on one, gets a knock onto it, but the distraction takes him down. Oath goes down. 1 point back behind Durney and 300.
What a great hold from 22 there too.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta. It's hard to get shots on them as they're approaching just because of the approach angle that Oath took. So, I mean, they just allowed him to get up on them and just immediately roasted them. Really clean, effective stuff there from 22 Esports.
Yeah, so now you can see still just a little bit more vision going on with the positioning that we saw from Zenith. They have had a little bit of trouble. Now they're trying to hold up that wall and just they were a little bit too spread on it. Two members suffering problems. Shinboy to the south and Maluk now in a position where they have Incheck in between them. Sonic Zampa does get a little bit of vision on what's going on with Shoot to Kill, but doesn't get too much out of it. H1 trying to get a little bit more as well. He does get spotted out, and yet again, it's going to be 22.
22 got vision over all of this stuff right now, and Zampa going to have to retreat off of this hold position for SDK and try to maybe go back for this res, as he is the last remaining member. Sonic's getting pushed from every direction, and that's going to open up a door for SDK to make their way into this circle from that Chuma area. It looks like they are going to wrap around a little bit more towards the west, though, just to avoid that situation. As looks like we have a lot of teams really on these edges of the circle this time around, Matt.
I mean, that's kind of the nature of the beast. Some of these guys are afraid to approach in because they know that the earlier teams, Zampa's just trying to figure out how to get around this. He's going to get it, though. He's fine. He's fine. Nothing to worry about. But 22, they had a good shot on that a second ago. He got played a little bit safe. Circle's going to pop, and it's going to be Sonic's right on the edge of it. Not too much to worry about with that. But really, those teams like Spicy Fish, where we see 300 playing along the hills, now are going to have a little bit more of a difficult position in front of them while it's going to be treacherous to move forward.
That enraged compound, man. You knew it was gonna. I just felt it, man. That. To be fair, though, I mean, enraged is in a great position, but 22 almost might be in a better position with that high ground. We'll see if they can dispatch of Sonics and clean up the rest of what's going on off to their west. As Durney and Old Times are also going to be making their way in. We check in with Zenith. Maluk has got a spot inside the circle. We'll see if Shinboy can get to him, but he's got a whole Spicy Fish squad in between the two of them.
Luke is just hunting down his prey right now, slow in approach, being patient, just saying if anybody comes to provide reinforcements or if they've just got a solo. You can see he's making sure to keep his ears open and seeing if anybody approaches right now, but very aware that he is on his own. Shinboy is very far to the south, and so with this, I like this. Play the backside of the shack just in case anybody crashes it, since it is right on the edge of the zone. Now, the fact that they're going to crash in there and you could find an opportunity. Spicy Fish is taking shots at Incheck as they're rotating, so that's kind of what's slowing them down, but Incheck not in the best of positions, because even if they roll through here, they're still going to have to contest against Durney to the north as well as Old Times. So with this little bit of harassment from Spicy Fish, it's going to be extremely problematic for Incheck.
Oh boy, they are in some big time trouble here. Maluk, oh, the spray, it was right there. It was right there, and he can't land it onto Roth. Roth going to go ahead and reposition a little bit, but he is feeding that information over to the boys, saying, hey, there's a guy here. And let me tell you, it's looking like a free kill if they bring all four across.
Yeah, I mean, trying to make the crossover there. H-Win does go down. It's going to be Shoot to Kill. It gets the knock onto him. Alo does go down from this position as well. Zampa, the last one up. What you got from this point? You know the fact that if you can get any points, it's pivotal for you, but you know that Shoot to Kill doesn't give a damn right now. They'll still just take a fight with you. They got the points and the positioning to work around it. So with this, Luke Toll steps around, but Zampa gets the drop onto him. Now just trying to creep forward. The last member for the Sonics just trying to make something happen right now. Repositions and flanks are coming up from Shoot to Kill on the other side of this one, and so Zampa instead is going to brave into the smokes and see if maybe he can creep out, spot somebody unaware, bumping into each other, tries to go for the spray, but Purdy Curdy catches him off of a shoulder push.
Oh, that was beautiful stuff from Zampa there, trying to play around the smoke cloud. It's always a dangerous proposition. We'll see if Durney can keep their hopes alive. They've got three up. They've got STK right in front of them going for the res. Looks like STK will be able to reset. Durney not pushing into the compound itself. You can see Lokix, Emmy just playing it slow. Capitan going to be completely separated from them here. But oh no, 22.
22 is putting in so much work right now from their positioning. They're just denying everybody any form of rotation. Circle's going to pop, and now everybody has to come to 22. These guys have been harassing everyone. But note, a lot of teams are now pushing into this corridor we're looking at, where Durney, where Shoot to Kill is at, Old Times. We also see In Check. Everybody's being forced along this path just due to the terrain, and now Shoot to Kill is going to have to fight their way through a ton of teams if they want to make it into the safe zone.
This is brutal stuff for all these guys on the western side. Northwest, southwest, it doesn't matter. There's teams everywhere, and they've got nothing but ridge lines to hide around. Still a few snakes around as well as they try to find themselves in a good position. And can they I mean, really, it's a question of, can 22 get overwhelmed here, as there are so many teams that are playing from that high side, and Rage kind of in the same boat on the lower ground as well, as they are trying to defend their compound desperately.
And it's a lot of peak battles going through off of this. You can see Kush does manage to get Purdy Curdy down. Alo's taking a ton of damage, narrowly manages to step away from it. Old Time's trying to look and where Incheck is moving. Incheck just trying to make the rush through while this is going on. Kresh is trying to make a move as well. Emmy finds a side flank on what's going on, gets the flush and the down onto Alo, reveals where the rest of Shoot to Kill is at, and is playing this one pretty slow. So Loquick's got to be careful with this one, trying to do a little bit of a peek around, seeing if anything we can find off of it, because there is just threat upon threat. Everybody is stacked up in this positioning, and you can see it's crates, there's buildings, windows, high ground, pipes you could cross. There's just so many different angles, it's hard to just check everything.
It's a hell of a job from Durney to do a little gatekeeping right there as just the duo of Emmy and Loquix. And as you see in the kill feed, there's fights going on all over the place. Spicy Fish are cleaning up on the south side, gas cans as well. As we see, they finish off Dodge. Hollow Senpai has been taken out. 303 is also in a lot of trouble here. And now Spicy Fish will push right on top of gas cans. Meanwhile, on the other screen, you have Low Kicks. Ernie still trying to gatekeep what's left of STK out of this one.
There are so many important fights right now happening and stacking over towards the leaderboard, and really just going to define what's going to be happening in the last round and how many points these teams need to gather. It's just fight upon fight. Journey's trying to survive. Emmy goes down from a toss. No surprise. It's going to be a frag grenade that lands right on top of him, coming out from Shoot to Kill's Pinta. So Loquick's got to figure out what he's going to do. Is it full on survival? Ooh. You can see it's just explosion upon explosion rolling into him, and he knows any move he makes is just not going to pay off. He can't even go for the rest. Molotovs land on top of him, and now where's he going to go? On the other side of it, now getting Molotov. Durning Loquix, he has nowhere he can go, and it's just a matter of time before somebody tries to crush it on him.
And even more points being soaked up by STK here, and that's the big story, is all these teams that are still vying for position. You can see Spicy Fish did get eliminated by gas cans, so that opens up the door for Durney, for 300 to try to gain a little ground here. But STK is just killing everything. 7 kills already. That's points out of the hands of these teams that are in the hunt.
Look at this. You can see that 22 is now running a 2-2 split at this late of a stage in the game. They know exactly what they're wanting to try to accomplish, and they're wanting to try to pick off all the stragglers in all of these fights. They're going to have a ton of vision and the capabilities to be double stacked if they keep their aim up. They can net a ton of points in this. 300 though, just in the thick of it. They've got 303 next to them, gas cans. They have an Enrage off to the west, and 303 has made a wide wrap around just trying to enclose into him, and the last member for Young Kings could find an angle to work with as well. You can see another fight that's breaking out as gas cans coming in back behind this one, and it's just fight upon fight as it is third, fourth, and fifth party, everything inside of this area.
Gas Cans has just been cold-bloodedly pushing into every single fight that they can find. They're going to spot out 303. They're going to spot out Young Kings and take that shot from range. 300 still have 3 up. They're still in it. They still have a shot to gain some big points here, much-needed points. As you see, Nefahor very, very low. They are a little bit pinned down at the moment.
Young Kings should have a little bit of vision on what's going on with T-Plints, but can't really peek up too much. Nikos gets the shot into him, takes him down, so 303 is now out. They're going to have themselves a lot of work if they want to climb out of that last place spot for the last game. Meanwhile, Gas Cans, while they did get the kill, it's going to be very difficult to move forward. Shoot to Kill does get eliminated, and everything that's going on in the northern area. Incheck starting to get more control in that and starting to push into where 22's playing from. 300, very aware of the threats and how they're going to be approaching, now in a firm gatekeeping position, where the fact that they have a team to the west and have to be cautious about Young Kings getting vision on them, but Gas Cans is just in such a close position, and they really the danger that they know that they need to focus in on.
Seems like in a matter of minutes, it went from 40, 50 up to 19 alive. As we'll see if 300 can clean up what's left of the gas cans without them doing any damage. And Rage actually finding an angle onto it as well. It's going to be Balkan that gets the knock on Nikos. It's all down to Adam. Got to give credit to gas cans as well, though. This is the gas cans that we were expecting from the jump. 9 kills already and just hyper aggressive play, even when they're down to just 2.
Adam very aware of the fact that where Enrage is positioning at. You know now why 300 was just clinging to life right along the side of that hill. Adam knows the fact that any angle he pushes from is going to have threats galore in front of him. Instead, now focusing on a potentially weaker team. Incheck does go down in a little bit of a fight that's going on towards the north of it, but there's just so much happening right now as it's just problem upon problem. Gas Cans gets eliminated, and it's going to be Young Kings that gets the shots into them. So now really the close fights are going to be caught up between Enrage and 300, while 22 just getting more and more control over the circle.
Oh man, I hope we get to see a replay on that one. I think Flux just 1v3'd in check there to wipe that whole squad and keep it fresh in this one. We cut back to 300. The boys from Enrage are starting to creep out of their compound a little bit here. You see Headkick getting knocked pretty low. Leda going to come up here, try to work the ridge line, provide a little bit of support for Nefahor while Headkick gets the heal off.
This is such a hazardous fight for 300 to take. They know the fact that the circle is not in this position. They just want to eliminate the threats that are going to be trying to chase after them. But Young Kings, also another threat and could be quite formidable based off of positioning. All three of these teams know the fact that they need to move, but it's just a matter of trying to try to find the angle. Ison, already hopping inside of a vehicle, rushes over to the cliffside. That means the fact that there's just 3 members for Enrage to try to hold back the 3 members of 300 at the time. But Molotovs being thrown are just going to continue to stall it out. Meanwhile, 22 still finding more and more success with that 2-2 split, just denying any movement coming up from Young Kings.
That actually is going to give the signal to 300 that they could rotate around onto this. They knew that Young Kings was the one holding this line over on the far side. They did get spotted out by 22, cleaned up. 300 will take that spot and just backfill. They did not like the position that they had against Enrage, and I can't say I blame them. They were getting absolutely controlled by Balkan.
Do note right now, 300 is tied with the Sonics. Any plays, any kills, just surviving at this point can get them more, but they are not inside the safe zone, and they can step up and finally get into that third place position that they're trying to get back into. Enrage does move into the west, which means the fact that they're going to be threatening along where the last member for Akreshe is posted up at. But do note, look at this lineup, Poro, from 22 Esports. God, these guys, they just have complete and utter dominance on everything that's moving around them. And look, they have so much ammo to work with as well. They can just sit here and harass for days. He doesn't even care. He's just spraying into smoke because he knows even if he gets some hits, gets some knocks, it's just more meds, it's armor that's burned, it's helmets that are not. It's just that much harder for these guys to even approach them.
You want to? Bas?
I'm a little bit concerned with how spread they are on that northern side, actually, because, Biznaga does have a little bit of an angle off to the west, but if 300 decides to kind of crash this a la Oath a little bit earlier, they may be able to catch Vinny and Rajiwao off guard, but it looks like 300 for their part are just going to go ahead and keep playing the low side. And Rage going to put the smoke wall down, and they're going to start the push. We've already seen what Flux can do against a 3-man. Can he do a 1v4? Can he repeat the performance?
I mean, if this is the time to do it if you're going to do it. There's only 1 round left after this, and you know Akreshe wants more from this point. Enrage, another team that's trying to climb their way up. They do have a close danger right on top of them, but they are going to be able to avoid it, repositioning away. The problem with this is the fact that they're still trying to harass 300 on the other side of this, when really the target that you can see that Enrage is just trying to pick up kill points right now, but the true threat that's really just supervising everything inside the circle is 22, and nobody can get clean vision on what's going on with them, because every single time they go for a peek on it, it's just 22 is already holding the angle.
22 doing a really good job of peeking, popping up, and then repositioning, not sticking around too long in one spot.
Send
not
it time.
Over peeking the angle. In Rage, this is pretty much the only option they have. They have to bring some cover with them, because you can see there's just nothing really there. And unfortunately, Biznaga gonna spot out Gubin. They might be able to get that res as they just back that truck right on up.
Great play coming out from 300, realizing the fact that 22 is now focused in on Enrage on the other side of this, using the opportunity to creep up and get into the safe zone. They know the fact that they have 22 that's very close to them, but while that reposition's coming out, you can see Nerfer now getting a little bit more vision on what's going on with Enrage as they're trying to creep their way forward. Balkan has managed to get himself a spot that's survivable, but he's the only one that's really crept in and started to contest towards the center.
Meanwhile, they're trying to go for the res onto Gubin right now. It looks like they will get away with it. You got to keep in mind, though, man, Flux for Akreshe is still hanging out on that western side.
Balkan. He gets the back flank onto it, gets it down on 1, gets it down on 2. 300 was not expecting this big play coming out from Balkan.
What a play from Balkan. The sneaky AUG god. 300 didn't have a chance, as that's going to be 3 more kills picked up for Enrage, and now they're in great position to try to take this victory home.
Creeping out, everything is happening in the east. 22 is starting to condense down. They realize the repositions come out. They have an opportunity, and they need to continue to hold right now. Sitting at 7 kills, they have the opportunity for more. Flux, the only person that's on the west side of the circle right now, but it's going to be Rogi stepping in, seeing an opportunity of his own to do exactly what we saw Enrage do a second ago. Spots it out, gets it down, and the flush on Balkan, but he goes down in a quick exchange. Vinny steps forward, but goes down as well. 22 has been holding this for so long, but it's starting to come apart. Finally, they find the angles onto Enrage, get multiple members down. It's just going to be Psycho looking into what's happening right now. A standoff is Naga, who's been huge, not going to come out too much for it. Hazen pops off for his team, and looks like they're trying to make sure that they get the res. Flux has been using the entirety of this opportunity just to creep closer and closer towards the center of the circle and see if maybe he can find an opportunity. Multiple people down. If he steps up, he might be able to get them, but they're going to find time to get these reses back off and walk in 4-man strong if he doesn't.
It's done. It's done. What a great hold from 22. That was so close. Such a good fight between them and Enrage. Flux used that opportunity to get a little closer, but I mean, it's pretty much. Wait a minute. What is Naga? Where are you going? Oh,
right
no.
into Flux's line of sight. Gets dropped.
Don't
They
give
didn't
him
get the res on
1v1s.
one of them. Flux is taking a ton of damage. He has to be so cautious. It's a 2v1 now, and he's actually pretty freaking close towards the center of the zone. He just doesn't have a lot of cover to work with. Rogi looks like he's going to reposition around this, trying to spot out
What
the feet.
on earth
And it's
are
a
you
peek
doing?
Back and forth right now. 22 seems to be caught completely unaware of this positioning, and now trying to figure out how they want to play around it. They're trying to find 2 angles, but finally connect and manage to take down the thorn that was in their side. 22 Esports walking away with a good victory.
Oh my goodness. 22 is so lucky. They are so lucky. That was that. Look, I'm not gonna cut corners on. That was an absolute trash way to play a 4v1 or 3v1 at the end of the game
close
for the victory. You basically turned that into a series of nothing but 1v1s, and oh my God, they should be counting their stars on that one, because that was super close there for Akreshe.
It was a nail biter, to say the least. But I do have to give a shout out whenever we're looking at this. Hazen, dude, walking away with 6 kills inside that round. Again, playing beautiful positioning off of it. And Flux walking away with 4 as well, based off of just catching a team entirely unaware and almost managed to do it a second time. I mean, great plays coming out from both of these teams. As it was really a very stacked positioning, as we've got Akreshe that was up there. We've got Enrage that came in third. And the first North American team to contest against it was 300 that just got completely backflanked on. There were a lot of very beautiful repositions inside that round.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, hey, Enrage, I think, played fantastically. They came down to just a full 4v4 fight, and you gotta love some of these Latin teams, man. When they get into a 4v4 fight, they just send it, and they will crash up against you and just beat you senseless until one of them comes out the victor. And that time it ends up being 22. You play that same fight 10 times, it might go 5-5. I mean, that was so clean for both teams, but. Man, 22, they followed it up with some questionable end game play, but it's a big victory for that squad.
I mean, at a certain point, you also have to count in the fact that you're going to get a little antsy, realize the fact of what's going on in positioning. And I do have to give it out. 22 realized how to play this for so long. They were holding, you can see at this stage, they're already holding down angles and forcing everybody to fight right along the edge of the zone and just shot upon shot to harass, force teams to stack on top of each other. And while sure, they didn't walk away with a ton of kills off of it, they got 12. That's pretty big. But they also just constantly forced everybody else to fight and feed kills in different directions to allow them to have so much space to work with.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the blessing and the curse of the position that 22 had in this circle, is that, you know, they influence so much of what's going on to the west of them, but it's kind of like everybody is saying, okay, we know that those teams is there, and we know that those sight lines are there, that we have to avoid them, and it kind of forces them to fight each other. But look at the shots from Balkan, good stuff. Oh God himself.
That flank was just ridiculously dirty. You can tell, like, we talk about like getting caught with your pants down. I mean, they had their pants down, still inside the drawer. They haven't even started to put them on yet. They were like looking at 22. They were like, "Hey, we're safe. Everything's good." And then Balkan was just there and destroyed them.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, that was rough for 300. I mean, they found themselves in the late game with 3 up, with an opportunity to really kind of make a jump here, as they were sitting in, I believe, 4th place, tied with Sonics, as you said, and they might still be there. But that flank from Balkan just kind of wrecked their dreams. You know, once again, 300 finding themselves in the late game. This Miramar map seems to be treating them pretty well.
Well, I'm just still caught up in 22 in the positioning, and I kept trying to point it out while we were going through the round. The complexity of the area that they were playing and to defend it so well for so long. Because think about it, nobody ever actually managed to make it to them. Enraged tried to approach. They got really close. They got to the wall, the same wall that 300 did, but nobody actually managed to make it into what they were holding down for so many circles inside that game. And that just shows great awareness, great just exactly how to play the terrain and realizing how the threats were going to be approaching into them. And that's very difficult to do with the amount of threats that were approaching them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you saw what happened when Oath did the 4-man pull-up. I mean, they immediately got dismantled. And the fact that 300 was lined up on that cliffside so nicely for Balkan to come and clean up was because of the hold that 22 had. 300 never felt comfortable pushing farther into that because of just the good split that 22 had. So just a really big influence on how the entire game just played around them just by their positioning and their great lines of sight that they were able to pull off.
Again, and in a similar note, I know we're talking praises about 22, but also Enrage, beautiful position as well. We've been talking a lot about Balkan, but remember, they were contesting against 300 for a long time, holding down the high ground, repositioning around it. Beautiful plays coming out from them too.
Well, guys, we got 1 game remaining, and before we come back and get the analysts to talk about that, we're going to set up. We're going to take a quick break. So during this break, why not go sign up for the new mobile game PUBG New State? It's 100% Battle Royale, 100% PUBG. So check out this video showing a little bit more about it. Developed by PUBG Studio, PUBG New State will launch as a free-to-play experience on Android and iOS in 2021. PUBG New State recreates the original Battle Royale experience and evolves it to make the most realistic Battle Royale experience on mobile, featuring state-of-the-art rendering technology that pushes the limits of mobile gaming. Make sure you pre-register on newstate.pubg.com now.